Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to a brand new episode of Roundup.
We've got lots to cover today, so let's dive right in with the headlines.
More than 200 world leaders are gathered in Glasgow trying to tackle climate change. The COP26 event is a global United Nations summit all about climate change. Originally planned to take place in November 2020, the summit had to be postponed due to the pandemic. The meeting is now taking place this year between 31st October and the 12th of November in Glasgow, Scotland. World football governing body FIFA agreed to new climate change targets at COP26, despite considering plans for a biennial World Cup. According to reports, one of the targets revealed during the conference includes reaching net zero by 2040 and a 50% reduction in greenhouse gases by 2030.
Reconfirmed our joint pledge to make this next major tournament fully carbon neutral.
A federal panel has recommended the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to children aged between 5 to 11 in the United States. The Centre for Disease Control and Prevention signed off on the recommendation this past week. Vaccines will now be available to children across the country, and some areas have already started offering the vaccines to those eligible. Pakistan continues its amazing run at the 2021 ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Pakistan is undefeated and became the first country to clinch a spot in the semi-finals. Matches started off on October 17th and the tournament final will be taking place on November 14th, 2021. Stargazers are in for a treat with the return of the constellation Orion, and not one but two meteor showers, as well as a spectacular full moon. On November 19th, stargazers will be treated to a full moon known as a beaver moon or frost moon. The moon will also be a partial blood moon, which may make the moon appear red in colour. And finally, an ancient Mayan canoe has been found in the southern Mexico. Archaeologists believe it to be over 1,000 years old. The wooden boat was discovered in a freshwater sinkhole in the Yucatan state. The canoe is just over 5 feet long and 2.5 feet wide.
Jahangir, I know what you would be doing if you weren't here today.
What's that?
You'd be playing video games.
Whoa. To be honest, I can't remember the last time I actually played video games, but for many it's something that they do nearly every single day. And I'm not joking, many people are addicted to video games, but some may not even know. Let's find out more.
Gaming is fun. It's also addictive. And like me, you're probably one of the millions of people who log in, complete missions, and level up. Playing video games is pretty much always an enjoyable experience, unless you lose, of course. But is gaming good for you? Underneath all the enjoyment and victories, games can cause a lot of harm, especially because of addiction. In 2018, the World Health Organization said that gaming addiction was a mental condition. It's become such a big problem that the UK has set up a special clinic to help people addicted to gaming. Hazul, may Allah be his helper, has also discussed the topic of gaming and warned of games that made you spend money to buy perks and add-ons which get you addicted.
बाज़ बच्चे आजकल एक नई गेम शुरू हुई है फोर्टनाइट उसमें अपनी रकमें ज़ाया करते हैं वालिदैन को भी चाहिए उससे उनको रोकें और तंजीमों को भी चाहिए खुदा वलमदियात फ़ालमदिया ख़ास तौर पर क्योंकि एक के बाद अगले स्टेप पे जाने के लिए फिर कार्ड लेते हैं फिर पैसे खर्च करते हैं बल्कि पिछले दिनों में एक आर्टिकल था एक तहकीक थी कि बाज़ ऐसे ग्रुप बन गए हैं जो बच्चों को साथ रब्ता करते हैं वर्गलाते हैं और कार्ड लेकर देने के बहाने फिर अपने उनके वालिदैन के बैंक अकाउंट भी ले रहे हैं नंबर और कुछ अर्से के बाद वालिदैन को पता लगता है कि उनके बैंक अकाउंट में रकमें नहीं हैं। इस गेम की वजह से जो नशे की तरह की आदत पड़ रही है बच्चों में ना सिर्फ ये उनके वक्त ज़ाया हो रहा है और गलत किस्म की सोचें पैदा हो रही हैं बल्कि बाद वालिदैन को भी नुकसान हुआ है। इस चीज़ से बचना चाहिए।
Some Itafal have had first-hand experience of the negative effects of gaming. Let's go and speak to Ravid Khan to find out his story.
I got quite addicted to Fortnite at one point, and it was just unnecessary and not healthy for me. Hazur's guidance was to pursue more physical activities and not get consumed by gaming. So off of that guidance, I started taking part in more physical activities outside, like football, and I cut down on my gaming. My advice to the other Atfal is that they shouldn't get too consumed by it. They should pursue more physical activities, use their time more wisely instead of playing games. They should socialize more, and they should focus more on their education too, because in the long term that's more important.
Some countries are trying to save children from the bad effects of video games. Recently, China put a limit on how much online gaming children can do. They can only play video games from 8 to 9 p.m. on weekends and holidays. They hope this will reduce the number of people addicted to gaming. As with everything in life, moderation is key. Some of the harms that come from gaming can be reduced, if not avoided completely, by limiting the number of hours spent in front of the screen, and by engaging healthy activities like exercising, reading, or socializing in the real world instead of the virtual world.
Jazakallah Kashif. Well, that was an eye-opener of how excessively playing video games isn't good for you.
Alhamdulillah, we have our beloved Hazur, may Allah be his helper, to instruct us in what to avoid. Now let's go to Nasser for a regular Friday sermon summary.
Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. In the recent Friday sermon, our beloved Hazur, Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, delivered a sermon in relation to spending in the way of Allah and the start of the 88th year of Tahrik-e-Jadid. Did you know that the Tahrik-e-Jadid scheme was initiated by Hazrat Muslih Maud, Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad radiyallahu anhu, under divine guidance on the 23rd of November 1934, in response to a great wave of opposition to the Jamaat. Tahrik-e-Jadid literally translates to the new scheme. Last Friday, Hazur, Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, began his sermon by mentioning the importance of spending in the way of Allah. Beloved Hazur explained that a true believer described in the Holy Quran is one who sacrifices his wealth for the pleasure and nearness of Allah the Almighty. Hazur also highlighted that the money which is given towards Chanda by members of the Jamaat are used towards different means of spreading the true message of Islam. Some of those are publications of the Jamaat, running the Jamaat's TV and media channels, publishing the Holy Quran and other books across the world, feeding the poor, training missionaries, building mosques, and along with much more. Beloved Hazur also mentioned some faith-inspiring accounts of Ahmadis around the world. Among these were children who showed their great levels of sacrifice. Hazur, Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, said that there were some children in Zanzibar who were playing outside of the mosque. An elder passed by and gave them 1,400 shillings so they could buy themselves sweets. The children went and changed the amount into smaller notes and presented 100 shillings each as a financial contribution. They were very happy to do so and safely kept the receipts with them. Hazur said that these are the children who will keep the foundation of the Jamaat strong in the future. Hazur said that the similar passion amongst children is found from another corner of the world. Beloved Hazur said that there was a 14-year-old child who was from a poor household. He had already spent all of his pocket money for the building of a mosque. When the missionary delivered a sermon on financial sacrifice, he gave $1 to the missionary and said that this was from his household. He said that this was not from himself, however. He would offer more on his own behalf. The next day, he brought $10 to the missionary and said that he was certain God would shower his blessings upon his family. Hazur, Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Nasr al-Aziz, said that over the last year, a total of £15.3 million were collected under Tahrik-e-Jadid, which is an increase of £842,000 from the previous year. Hazur also mentioned the top 10 positions of the countries, where Germany stood first, UK second, and USA third. This was just a brief summary of last week's Friday sermon. We hope you are able to hear the full Friday sermon, which can be found on mta.tv. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah Nasir for that summary, and as always, we encourage you to watch the whole Friday sermon, which is available online.
Remember our special Islamic Month segment?
I do actually. It's been a few weeks since the last one, so I'm assuming it must be time to learn about the next Islamic lunar month.
That's right. Let's go to our Canada studios to find out what Islamic lunar month we are in now.
We're back again. And this time, we'll be covering another month in the Islamic calendar. Last month, we covered Rabiul Awwal. And you know what comes after Awwal? Yup, you're absolutely right. You're already becoming an expert. Let's go meet Murabbi Basil Butt Sahib and find out more.
So, do you remember what Rabi means?
Rabi means spring. Oh yeah. Jazakallah Sharyar. Rabi means spring.
You're right. Good job. So, Rabi'ul Thani is the fourth month of the Islamic Hijri calendar, which comes right after Rabi'ul Awwal. And this year, it's going to be coming from the 7th of November to the 5th of December. As with other months of the Islamic Hijri calendar, this particular month saw many important events in the early history of Islam. For example, it was in this month that the wife of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hazrat Zainab bint Jahash Raziyallahu anha, passed away. She was the wife that was also known as Ummul Masakin, that is, the mother of the needy, because of all of the charity that she used to give to the poor people. But aside from that, there's other very important incidents that also happened in Rabi'ul Thani. For example, there was multiple military expeditions that Muslims had to send out for their own defense. But coming to our modern history, closer to our time, the month of Rabi'ul Thani also has had very important events. For example, in 1326 after Hijrah, that was the year 1908, in this very month, it was the day that the promised Messiah ﷺ passed away. And then following the next day, which is known as Yawm Khilafat, that was the day when the establishment of Khilafat Ahmadiyya occurred.
That's your roundup for today. I'm Musaf Ahmed, reporting from MT International, Canada Studios. See you next month in Jamadiul Awwal.
Jazakallah, as always, very informative from Canada. Now it's time to go all the way to the other side of the world to Indonesia for our next segment.
We're learning about a traditional art called Batik Gurut.
Any idea what that is?
Not at all. But we are looking forward to learning about it. Let's go to Indonesia to find out more.
Teman-teman, kalian pernah dengar kata batik gak? Kamu tahu gak batik itu apa? Nah, batik itu adalah baju yang sedang saya pakai ini dan yang ada di belakang kita. Batik itu adalah kain bergambar khas Indonesia yang sudah diakui sebagai warisan budaya Indonesia oleh UNESCO. Batik itu banyak jenisnya loh, teman-teman. Secara teknik pembuatannya, batik ada 3 jenisnya, yaitu batik lukis, batik cap, dan batik tulis. Batik lukis dibuat dengan cara melukis langsung pada kainnya, sementara batik cap dibuat memakai cap dari tembaga, dan yang paling terkenal namanya batik tulis yang dibuat menggunakan canting serta lilin. Ih, tapi bukan lilin yang itu. Lilin untuk membuat batik namanya malam. Ih, bukan malam hari. Tradisi membatik sudah ada sejak zaman kerajaan Majapahit loh. Proses pembuatan batik tulis bisa berlangsung selama 2-3 bulan. Sementara batik lukis bisa selesai dalam waktu 2-3 minggu. Dan batik cap lebih cepat, yakni 2-3 hari saja. Walau batik Jawa paling terkenal di Indonesia, tapi setiap wilayah di Indonesia sebenarnya punya batiknya masing-masing loh. Nggak cuma di Indonesia, batik juga terkenal sampai ke mancanegara loh. Batik bisa ditemukan di negara tetangga seperti Malaysia, Singapura, India, Sri Lanka, Cina, bahkan Afrika. Batik dibawa ke Afrika pada abad ke-19 oleh orang Belanda yang telah selesai bertugas sebagai tentara Belanda di Indonesia. Makanya sekarang batik juga sangat digemari di Ghana, Nigeria, dan negara-negara Afrika Barat lainnya. Wah, hebat ya!
Well, it's really amazing how much we're learning in this program from all over the world.
We're also enjoying getting your views on the topics we are covering. Here's what you had to say about today's topics.
I play video games sometimes, but I don't really play them, and yes, I think it might have a negative effect on people.
A quick after-school video games can seem harmless until they become addicted. Playing video games for too long can cause headache chases. Instead of playing video games, go to get some fresh air.
I rarely ever play video games because I think they may interfere in my studies.
Sabika says, in my opinion, video games can be harmful, as spending too much time on screens can affect your eyesight. They're also considered as being non-essential and a waste of time. On the other hand, video games are a good way to motivate children into doing important tasks, like household chores and homework, but with a set time limit. Saria says, we don't have any video games at home, because it's a waste of time. Also, it's bad for children's brains and eyesight. Other things that are important have priorities to be done before video games. I think if you play only a bit, it is fine. But if you play too much, it can be bad for you. Shafia and Qudsiya say, consuming video games for too long can have negative health consequences. These show up in the form of nervousness, headaches, and insomnia.
Well, next up, we're going all the way around the world to land in France.
Let's head over to our France studios for an overview of the Jalsa Salana this year.
Assalamu alaikum Munif, wa alaikum assalam Walid. We welcome you all to the 28th Jalsa Salana France. Munif, do you know where we are? Yes, we're in Batik Chateau, which is located about 70 kilometers in northwest of Paris. Yes, that's right. And do you remember last time we were here for Jalsa? It was when Pyare Hazur blessed us with its presence. Gee, bhai, how can I forget that? It was in October 2019, and I remember attending that Jalsa with my entire family. Unfortunately, everyone cannot attend Jalsa this year due to COVID-19 restrictions. Gee, bhai, Pyare Aka always advised us to follow the rules set by our country because it is for our own good. Yes, that's why only fully vaccinated people are allowed to participate. Let's go through the registration market to see how the Khuddams are working. Assalamu Oh, that was pretty easy. You just have to show your valid vaccination pass and you can enter the Jalsa. Walid bhai, what's your favorite moment of Jalsa Salana? Oh, that's a very tricky question, Munif. As I have many favorite moments, but I like the flag hosting ceremony the most. And what about you, Munif? I like everything about Jalsa Salana, but listening to the beautiful Tilawat, Nazm and Nare are my favorite parts. Aren't you hungry, Munif? Let's go visit the Langar Khana and see what's been cooked. Now that we enjoyed the food, let's rush to the Jalsa for the final session.
उस नूर पर फिदा हूँ उसका ही मैं हुआ हूँ वह है मैं चीज़ क्या हूँ बस फैसला यही है
Thank you all, and we hope that you enjoyed this virtual tour of Jalsa Salana France 2021.
May we continue benefiting from the blessings of Khilafat.
And may Allah make it easier for us all to participate in Jamaat activities despite these unusual circumstances.
Now, finally, for those who don't know, Mauritius Jamaat had the blessed opportunity to host their national Khuddam Ijtema last weekend.
We now bring to you a short report prepared by our Mauritius studios covering the event.
हम पे फज़ले खुदा हर कदम पर हुआ हमको हासिल खिलाफत का साया हुआ
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, dear viewers. Welcome to Mauritius. And as you can see, right behind me, there's the mood. You can see the mood of the Khuddam National Ijtema Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya Mauritius. And you know what? It is happening in Dar es Salaam, Rose Hill. And here,
बहारों का मौसम खिला गुलशने दीन अहमद है महका हुआ हम पे फजले खुदा हर कदम पर हुआ हमको हासिल खिलाफत का साया हुआ
and here,
फजले खुदा हर कदम पर हुआ हमको हासिल खिलाफत का साया हुआ हमको हासिल खिलाफत का साया हुआ नुसरतों के नजारों के शाहिद हैं हम और उदू हर कदम पे शिकस्ता हुआ.
and that's not all. The National Ijtema is happening in two more places, in Triolet and in Montagne Blanche. Do you know who founded the Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya? It was Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad Raziyallahu anhu, the second caliph, on the 31st of January 1938. On the same year, Atfal al-Ahmadiyya was founded. As a tifl, we are trained by the Khuddam so that we become the future of the Jamaat and the nation. Thus, Ijtema is part of our training and we do enjoy these events. This is Ziad Napol reporting from Mauritius.
Well, unfortunately, we have run out of time today. However, we'll be back on Sunday with a new episode and even more great content from our studios around the world.
But before we leave, as always, don't forget to send us your feedback, views and story ideas via social media or email us at roundup@mta.tv.
Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
I shall call, I shall call, I shall call, I shall call, I shall call. Thy message to reach all the corners of the earth.